The San Francisco 49ers moved to 5-7 on the season. Christian McCaffrey looks like he popped his Achilles again. They're saying it's a PCO tear, probably out for the season. They moved him back onto the IR. Season looks like it's a wrap for the 49ers. So, I mean, what do the 49ers look forward to in this offseason? How do you fix the 49ers? Is there a way for them to extend the Super Bowl window with this current core, or is the window completely closed?
I think it's shut. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. They're not getting to the playoffs this year. You got to pay Brock Purdy at the end of the season. I don't know what that number looks like, but Dak just got $60 million. He's got to get somewhere close to that, right? He was an MVP candidate last year. I mean, got them to a Super Bowl. Like, you have to pay him money. You have to pay him big money. You just paid Ayuk, so Debo's gone.
This is the reason why I respect Debo so much. Is because last year, that shit talk he fucking did and how he fucking showed
the Eagles.
Yeah, that's never forgotten about with me.
Yeah. That shit
I don't respect a man more than the guy who could. If you could talk shit, bro.
No, it was the Eagles.
It was the Eagles?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you could talk massive amounts of fucking hot, steamy piles of dog shit and then absolutely back it the fuck up like a man,
yeah,
I respect you.
Nah, Debo was a bad man.
Yeah, he's not anymore.
A bad man.
And because this is my thing, there's a lot of fucking people in this just world that like do talk big, hot, steamy dog bag of shit and don't back it up.
Yeah.
And that guy did fucking back it up. So I don't care how he's been performing.
Yeah.
I fucking respect that guy.
Yeah,
no, I respect Debo.
Yeah, no, for sure. But he's washed up like a dead whale. I mean,
I'll still call him
he
Debo.
sucks.
Yeah.
He's been
I don't even know if he
bad.
sucks. I think he's just in a really the aura of the team is just down.
No, the vibes. Like Adam Schefter
that-
said it all season. The vibes in San Francisco are horrible.
It's just I think it's more just the vibes than anything. And like I know you can argue, all right, well, a real leader will take that into his hands and kind of like try and lead the team. But sometimes you don't really know what goes on in the locker room. Like
nobody's really calling Debo the leader of that team either. I mean, he's a captain.
No, they're not. They're not. But I'm just saying, like someone could argue, like, all right, well, maybe he could take that into his own hands. But at the end of the day, like, he's one man on a really big roster. Like, if the aura's down on that team, if you're missing fucking your Madden cover running back, and now
Madden curse is
back, you know, and
Super.
and you know Ayuk, your wide receiver one is fucking injured, like. It's just a whole fucking and you didn't really have a strong start to the season, and you just lost the Super Bowl, like, yeah, no shit, things aren't 100% going their way.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned all those points because I think we'd be naive to think that the Super Bowl window is closed for this team. They've dealt with the most injuries in the NFL, you could argue, so far this season.
After being arguably the healthiest team in the NFL last year.
100%, exactly. And the same thing goes for the Detroit Lions last year, too. They were, this has nothing to do with them, but they were one of the healthiest teams last year, and this year, banged up. So, Niners are coming off a Super Bowl hangover. I think it's crazy for us to just necessarily say that the window is closed. You have a bunch of pieces coming back next year. Javon Hargrave was not healthy. He changes this team. Am I saying he's going to be the same version of himself? No. But, come on, any pass rush help is going to help at this point. So, I'm sure there are a bunch of moves they could still make. I think Brock Purdy needs to get an extension 100%. What's that number? I don't know. Maybe you could convince the guy to take 45 to 50 a year.
I mean,
because he's in the perfect system, everything's worked out. I think there's a world where Purdy does one of those, I'm going to take a little bit of a discount, team friendly. You guys, you know, have given me everything around me. Keep doing the same thing. Let's win. I hope that's what he does at least.
I think he loves the team.
I think so too.
I don't think he really wants to.
Yeah, but
Debo needs to be traded too. That needs to happen.
Debo's going.
Why do they need to trade him though?
The contract.
You gotta pay,
that's number one.
Brock,
The contract is number one.
For him?
Well, you just paid Ayuk.
He's making his cap hit's like $12 million. He's making a lot of money.
Next year it's 12 or is it 25? I think it's 25 for next year. But regardless, like, it's too much. Like, you can't do that with Debo anymore, especially when you got Kittle. You just re-signed Juwan Jennings, who honestly has proven to be so goddamn good. Brandon Ayuk, you gave him the massive deal, and you're going to lose a couple offensive linemen this offseason. You can't afford to do that. Charvarius Ward's a free agent too.
Oh, man. His cap hit for next year is 28 mil.
Yeah, he's got to go.
Yeah,
Debo's got to get traded.
Charvarius Ward is probably.
he's free.
I
agent.
think someone's going
He's
to pay
gone.
him. Yeah, someone's going to
Ward's
pay him.
gone. You can
Ward's
forget
gone.
about that.
I mean, Trent Williams going into his age 37 season next year.
Ageless.
Like,
He's ageless.
I mean,
So-
at some point you age. Like he's getting old.
He just
He's
seems
also
like the
dealing
best
with a
tackles
lot.
ever. Just keep going.
Not until they're like 40. Like he's getting
See you, Cobes.
What happened there?
mama
They
mentality.
crashed.
He's getting he's getting old. I'm not saying he's gonna fall off a cliff next year, but at some point he's not gonna be one of the best tackles in the NFL.
The table. I think I rocked the table when I moved the mic. Yeah, I mean, so you got to pay Brock. Debo's gone. What are you getting out of McCaffrey next year? Because
You got to re-sign Jordan Mason, I think.
right,
You have to.
but McCaffrey was a game changer. Like
100%.
took that offense to another level next year. What version of Ayuk? Because Ayuk looked like shit even before he got hurt.
And
So
now
now
he's
he's
coming off an ACL.
Now he's coming off an ACL. The other side of the ball, I was watching the intros for that game on Sunday, and I looked at my brother. I go, I watch a lot of football. I don't know a single fucking name on that defense. Like
They're banged up.
I don't think
That's
I.
the
Yeah,
problem.
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, even when they're healthy though, like you mentioned Javon Hargrave.
We'll
I didn't even
take
touch
off
it.
now.
Just take
All
him
right,
like
Cody's-
off the wire.
Kobe's
though.
staying over there. He's Kobe's staying there.
Kobe's going on timeout. He's just gonna go over here.
Like you mentioned Javon Hargrave, like cool. Javon Hargrave's a cool player, but their pass rush is not good outside of Nick Bosa. Like Javon Hargrave helps, but doesn't fix it. Like in the trenches, they're weak.
Yeah.
Like on both sides of the ball. I'm not gonna lie. Like their pass rush is weak. Their interior of their offensive line is it's just terrible.
Trent Williams is their whole offense.
Yeah, their offensive line is not good, and then you just have these skill position players who are either aging, getting washed, or you have to move on from and/or pay and can't afford to pay, and it's just like the window always was before
Purdy got a contract.
you had to pay Purdy. Like it
100%.
was last year and this year, and then like things were gonna get murky for them, and here we are. This isn't their year. Now you have to pay Purdy going into next year probably, and
Well, that wouldn't be a thing until the following year. So this upcoming season, that'd be the cap hit of his
yeah,
rookie contract.
but it's just gonna. I know that, but it's gonna what's the word? Like affect how they
Complicate
spend
how they do
how they
things.
spend money
Yeah.
this season,
Yeah, for
knowing
sure.
that
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
gonna have a massive cap hit for the following season. So it's just like once the contract is signed, it's like holy shit! Like
we just paid this man.
however much money,
45
right?
million. Yeah.
Right. So it's
I don't think it's over though. I don't think it's over.
they have to hit this draft. Like that's
Yes.
really the way. Like they could do whatever they want in free agency. They could trade Debo, do whatever they want to do. But like you
They
gotta,
draft well.
yeah.
Lord knows.
They're very hit or miss.
They either draft studs or
Yeah,
they draft
that's true.
complete duds. That was a bar.
I feel like with their high picks, they draft duds. But then in the trenches of the drafts, they usually
Bro, it seems
hit
like
on
the
guys.
Rams and the Niners are like
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah,
over and
typically
over.
they'll
Yeah.
find some like that. That's what you need with this team, especially like the money was already rough for this team
Yeah.
before paying Purdy.
Yeah.
Like again, now you're gonna pay that guy, so the money is gonna get 10 times more complicated than it was. Like,
But
so
this is a team that got their franchise quarterback with the last pick in the draft.
right.
So,
But
anything-
that's the
yeah.
thing, though. That's what I'm
Exactly.
saying. That was the window.
Right. Of
That
course. No,
was the
I
window.
agree with you,
So
yeah.
it's just, and again, these guys are aging. Like no one's getting younger on that team. They don't really have like an influx of young talent. Like sure, Brock's a young quarterback, but like aside from that, like
The rest of the team is
Ayuk
very
is
young.
probably, in theory, hear me out if this makes sense, older than he really is because he has an injury history
20s.
now.
Oh,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
You know what I mean?
sure,
Like
yeah.
he's not fresh legs. He's not
No.
fresh meat.
Well, at least for next year, he's probably like you always see these guys and never come back the same the
Right.
year after the ACL. It's usually 2 years after. So
Right.
you're probably chalking up next year for Ayuk too. Like it's
Right.
so it's rough. I agree,
So-
but I don't know.
I'll ask this question. You know, we don't know who's declaring and who's not. I know we're not all too familiar with the draft and what it's going to look like right now, but let's just say in theory, for the purpose of this question, the Niners in their head they're drafting the best player available, whatever pick they're not drafting, they're not drafting BPA. They're drafting for a position of need in the first round this year. What's the biggest need? that they need to hit in this year's draft? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think pass rush.
Pass rush.
Get somebody opposite Nick Bosa.
I agree, and there's 2 in this class, especially.
I don't know where
really
would
good.
like is Jack Sawyer like a top guy?
He's up. He's like in the 20s ish.
I
but
like
there's
him if
two.
they can
There's
get him.
2. Penn State. Abdul Carter.
Yes.
Penn State Abdul Carter, and there's one out of Tennessee. I forget his name. It's
Pierce, James
yeah,
Pierce.
James
Yeah,
Pierce.
yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Those 2.
He's fallen off. He's not having a great season though, because I've seen him like fall down on. He was like the
He'll still get
projected
drafted.
number 1.
That's
like,
why. Yeah, that's
the
the only reason
problem
I
is
know
they
that.
have the best defensive line in college football. Like it's like
he'll still get drafted though.
he's gonna be a top. He's
gonna be a first round pick.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
He'll test well.
I just
too.
know like going into this college season, he was like the consensus like number 1.
Yeah.
and
I
he's
feel like
not
Jack
that.
Sawyer and Nick Bosa just make sense. You know.
Oh yeah.
Call me
Yeah.
If
crazy.
they get
Definitely
their
pass.
hands on one of those like top edge rushers, they'll turn them into a stud.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
that's just one of
Yeah.
those teams where like those
or
certain
like interior.
Definitely,
offensive line.
definitely
interior line or
interior
offensive
line.
tackle.
Yeah,
So
100%.
it's I mean, I think if you hit on your first couple picks, this could be a very different.
Do you
team.
guys think they consider firing Kyle Shanahan?
Not at all.
No.
They
I think that's ridiculous.
They shouldn't.
You think so?
I think it's something to look at. I'm not saying they should, but I mean,
I don't think
Is-
there's anything
I-
out there
I
better
don't
than
know
Kyle
if it's-
Shanahan.
I don't know if it's a lot
You'll
of
see
coaching.
just how
that's the
fast
problem.
someone's picking his ass
Yeah.
out.
yeah,
So-
no, 100%. I
I
think
don't-
Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. I just
Yeah.
think sometimes these things. I mean,
It's just not.
I've
gonna
been
work.
wrong about it with Mike Tomlin and the Steelers for years and years. So like, I could just be wrong, but like, I feel like sometimes these things are just like the relationship just runs out.
I do
You know what
feel
I mean?
like
It's like when you're in a real relationship. Like sometimes like the love's still there, but it just
Don't work.
the spark just runs
Died
out.
out,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Nah, I can't see them firing Shanahan
Yeah.
and then being like.
I don't
"There's
think it's a
Grant,
coaching
there's
problem.
Grant."
I feel like I remember last year, especially like I was super big on just the way the Niners kind of carry themselves as a team, and that usually comes from a coaching perspective. You know what I mean? It comes from the coaches.
Yeah,
down.
there's no question that guy
You know,
builds a culture. Like
yeah, because the way like I know we're talking about this year, but like last year, the way they brought the ball down the field and they didn't necessarily over celebrate touchdowns. They weren't doing. You didn't see them doing backflips in the touchdown. Backflips in the end zone, or just say they have a big play, like all fucking celebrating. Like if they had a fucking a 40-yard catch, or CMC had a 50-yard run,
just business as
they
usual.
just went on to the next play. They didn't all get all fucking
Yeah.
humpy jumpy. Like they just were like, all right, yeah, like bro, there's nothing.
That is
Humpy jump.
an
Yeah.
insane
Crazy.
term to use.
No,
but,
they just got to the next down, and they just kept doing it over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's why they made it to the Super Bowl.
yeah.
You know, but then as we know, once you
Well,
burst
I don't think that's why they made it to. They're just
No,
good
he's saying
football
like the
players.
culture.
no, the
is-
culture,
yeah.
culture,
the way
bro, that
the way
breeds
that
everything, yeah.
the way that they get through a football game, the way they hold themselves as a team is why they made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
And I feel
holding
like
each other accountable.
holding each other accountable. And I feel like
Big theme on the pod this year.
Yeah.
Shit.
Shanahan's contracted through next season, so I feel like you would at least ride it out.
You're riding it out.
Yeah.
You're riding it
Yeah.
out.
I was gonna say, speaking of Super Bowls, do we all feel like we aired out the Niners over here? Do we anything else we want to say?
I don't think there's too much.
Yeah, I
That's it.
mean, yeah, I think so. It's tough, but they're a historically great organization.
I would
They
also
can-
say
They'll
if you
always
can-
come back.
they can
They'll
pull through,
always
you
come
know?
back a better team eventually.
Yeah,
Even if it takes fucking 2
you'll
years.
always have, as long as they have Shanahan in the court, like you'll always have faith.
draft
Yeah.
O-line, D-line,
Yeah.
get some guys back on prove-it deals,
Like
see what happens.
Shanahan's a good coach. I don't know if he's this. I don't know, man.
He went to a Super
I mean,
Bowl, Jimmy
shit,
Garoppolo.
he's been to 2.
Yeah.
He's been to 2 of them.
Yes, yeah.
Like, and then we also have
you
to
could
look at like
also make the case that he's the reason why they lost those two. Also, Jimmy G was the reason why
Jimmy
they
G
lost the
is
first
the reason
one.
they lost the first
I
one.
don't know. I see Niners fans like just the Niners fans. I know like when your team's losing, you're
They're
never
also, yeah, I was
gonna
gonna say
rock
they're
with
also
the
just
coach.
not used to this, you know.
Yeah, but I mean they've blown a bunch of like 10+ point leads this
That's
year.
been
in
Shanahan's
partic-
thing for a
Right,
while.
that's
now.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I mean,
He blows leads.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe it is, man.
schematically,
Yeah.
he's a genius.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
Situationally, maybe he's not the best coach in the NFL,
And
but
that's costed them
a few
on
times.
numerous times. It's basically like obviously the injuries, but like aside from the injuries, that's probably the biggest thing that's costed them.
I
this
also
season.
think firing him loses the locker. Like the locker room is not going to be on board with
Bro,
that.
shit, you fire Kyle Shanahan,
love
bring
that
his
guy.
ass to New York right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bring
why
his
not?
ass
Like
to
you
New
said, he'll
York
get picked
right
up so
the
Why
fast.
fuck
not?
now.
Why not? Right?
Do that in
But
a
I
heartbeat.
agree. Sometimes, like Dable in New York, I don't think Dable is a bad coach at all. But he's probably gonna get fired.
So he's another one that it's like schematically, I think he's great, but when it comes to being a leader of men and being the guy, like situationally, all that stuff, and I think honestly, I think situationally he's really not that bad. But I just once you lose the locker room, you're
that's it.
cooked, bro.
That's
Yeah.
it.
You ain't coming back from it.